Well, this got it started yesterday. Jarrett Bell, who posted an item on Wednesday where Sean Payton had some very candid criticism of the NFL as it relates to educating players when it comes to gambling, with words like shameful and embarrassing, and he pointed out that owners can own pieces of DraftKings and FanDuel. That was just the appetizer to what came yesterday. The main course got dropped yesterday via that tweet from Jarrett Bell, and oh my God, Sean Payton obliterated former Broncos coach Nathaniel Hackett to the point where my first thought, Myles, was, he thought he was off the record, and Jarrett Bell thought he was on the record. That was my first thought, and we haven't heard that in the past 24 hours, so I assume that's not going to be the excuse. That was all off the record, but that's what I thought. It was so harsh and so unprecedented to have a coach go, and we'll get into the comments, but to have a coach go after another coach in the NFL with that kind of vitriol, I thought this was an off-the-record conversation and there was a miscommunication between reporter and subject.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a joke when I saw one of the quotes from the article. I was like, oh, well, this is an interpretation of what Sean Payton said. And I clicked on it and I read it and I was like, no, that's a direct quote. Wow. Because usually you hear platitudes from coaches, right? Like when Sean McVay replaced Jeff Fisher, it was, oh, I wasn't here. I don't know how they were coached, but this is how we're going to do it now. And it was most of that for the entire 2017 season. This is something entirely different. I've never seen anything like this before.
Well, and there's a couple of different reasons for it. First of all, you don't want to unnecessarily stir up someone that you will encounter at some point on the football field. You don't want to give them any extra incentive to want to kick your ass. It's the old Lou Holtz approach. Everybody that Lou Holtz always faced was the greatest team he's ever seen. And the other side of it, too, is it's a closed industry with 32 shops. And if you start pissing off people at the other shops, you may need them at some point. Now, Sean Payton may be at the juncture of his career where this is it for him. This is my last job. I don't care who I piss off. I don't care what I say. I don't need Robert Saleh. I don't need Nathaniel Hackett at some point later in my career. I got my money, and I'm getting a lot more of it from the Walmart clan over the course of the next 5 years. I'm out. I'm done. I'm 60. See you later. I'll piss off whoever I want. So there is a certain freedom in removing yourself from the incestuous nature of this guy's working with this guy and this guy needs a job from this guy and these two are tied together. This completely throws that out the window, that level of professional courtesy that you see, because you may need that person that you're taking aim at. And yeah, some coaches either don't care or have evolved past the point where they need to care. And I think that's one of the reasons why we don't hear the kind of stuff we heard yesterday. Most coaches can't afford to just burn any possible bridge that they may have to some other job at some point.
Right. And what's funny, and, we were saying this on the text chain, I mean, Sean Payton was on Fox all last year, and I don't think that he said anything that was like 25% as this incendiary as these comments that he made to Jarrett Bell.
Didn't have the job yet. Didn't have the job yet. Now he's got the job. Now he's got the guaranteed contract. So here's some of the stuff that he said. And this all relates to why things went so poorly last year for the Denver Broncos. They bring in Russell Wilson. Everything's great. The Broncos are going to be great. Everything's awesome. And we know what happened. And said Payton, there's so much dirt around that. 20 dirty hands for what was allowed, tolerated in the frickin' training rooms and meeting rooms, the offense. I don't know Nathaniel Hackett. A lot of people had dirt on their hands. It wasn't just Russell. He didn't just flip. He still has it. This BS that he's hit a wall, shoot, they couldn't get a play in. They were 29th in the league in pre-snap penalties on both sides of the ball. And then this one, everyone's got a little stink on their hands. It's not just Russell. It was a poor offensive line. It might have been one of the worst coaching jobs in the history of the NFL. Wow. I mean, that's the one you never hear. That's the one that never gets said. That is completely and totally gratuitous, and I would submit unnecessary. Why do you need to say that publicly? It's one thing to say it privately to get your players to turn the page from last year to this year. to tell the world that Nathaniel Hackett might have done one of the worst head coaching jobs in the history of the NFL, I believe it serves no purpose. We're going to delve into the psychology of this later. I think it serves no purpose to say that publicly. It really doesn't. What does it gain for you to utter those words anywhere but in the meeting room, in the locker room, in a place where it's only heard by the guys who need to hear it?
Or off the record, right? I mean, that's one of those quotes that kind of made me think the same thing that you did, where I was like, whoa, this is a lot. And that's the one I saw where I'm thinking, oh, this is an interpretation of what Sean Payton said. And it's not an interpretation. Sean Payton literally said that. And the fact is, I don't really think he's wrong, right? I mean, I don't know what in the world we said over the course of however many shows we did last year when Nathaniel Hackett was still the head coach of the Denver Broncos. But, I mean,
I know what I said.
Here
We can find the tape. Mom, I thought it was shit.
Yeah, well,
Sorry.
Exactly. So,
Sorry,
thank you for yelling that over my comments there. But you're not wrong. I mean, I was going to say, you and I constantly said he was in over his skis. He was at a position that he clearly was not ready for, right? And whether or not he's going to be ready to be a head coach at some point else in his career, we don't know. But that was not the job for him, right? The Peter principle, whatever you want to call it. He advanced too far and it just did not work. And we saw it from week one on. It just was never going to work there for Nathaniel Hackett, which is why he got fired before they even completed the season. So again, it's not like Sean Payton is all that wrong about what he said, but like you said, Mike, it is a little past the line of what purpose does this serve to say this publicly to the entire world, whereas, you know, you could say this in a meeting or off the record or whatever it happens to be, and the right people are going to get the message.
Oh, it was a slow motion train wreck from the get-go. Week 1 at Seattle. That ridiculous confusion at the end of the game, and they played the percentages for, what was it, a 75-yard field goal? I mean, it was just so stupid. And we all knew it was stupid. I mean, we all knew how stupid it was. Like, everybody but Nathaniel Hackett knew how stupid it was. And that's what made it so rare, because on what topic does anyone universally agree in sports or anything nowadays? It was universal agreement in the aftermath of that game that Nathaniel Hackett didn't know what the hell he was doing. And then after week 2, remember, they went out and they hired a coach to coach the coach. They brought in Jerry Romsberg, I think. I can't even remember now. I'm trying to wipe the whole year.
You don't remember Sheriff Jerry Rosberg? He came in and cleaned up the town after Nathaniel Hackett got fired. Jerry Rosberg, baby. Woo! Throw
in a vowel. Rosberg, Romsberg, potato, regardless, they had to go get a coach to coach the coach. It was a disaster, and we all saw it happening. But you're right. It wasn't like Sean Payton was on Fox every week saying, man, this is one of the worst coaching jobs in the history of the NFL. But he had no reason to say it then. Now he's got a reason to say it. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.